Good morning, garden friends. I'm out here down by the market garden on this foggy, cloudy, hazy morning, bright and early. Got my tea. Haven't even had tea yet. I'm out here surveying and trying to figure out what my daily tasks are going to be today. And yeah, the market garden is a mess. This video is not going to be all doom and gloom, I will promise you that. But there's some stuff going on in the vegetable garden, the market garden behind me, that isn't great. Trying to make do. But there's also a lot of good stuff going on in the rest of the garden. So I will end this video with some positive stuff, but let me show you the vegetable garden and what's happening here. We'll take a wander into the vegetable garden. And right away, I'm sure you can see, there's a lot of water. Yeah. We've just come out of the third rainiest May, I think, on record. And we're into the first week of June now. And yeah, the market garden, at least, especially this end, the first 10 or so rows, is just a swampy, muddy mess. We've had so much rain. You can hear it squishing in my boots, but I mean, look at this. I was in here yesterday. Excuse me. And yeah, standing water in the aisles. The soil is just sopping wet. And as you can see, there's sort of a green haze over everything. And that's the weeds. I can't even get in here and hoe the weeds out. I've been trying to pick out the big weeds when I can, but really I need to get a hoe in here, except when you hoe, I mean, you're just hoeing mud. So yeah, it's been kind of a struggle. And I feel bad. I have a couple of neighbors in these two rows here, and their rows are just mud, and they've barely been able to plant anything. So, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. Now, this is something that in the 10 years we've been on this farm, we've never dealt with. Never has this garden been this wet, this late in the season. Usually in March, even early April, excuse me, as things thaw and water starts running, down the hill, it'll be a little wet. But definitely by mid-April, late April, it's always been dry enough to work and not have to worry about damaging the soil. But the rain is it just keeps coming. It won't stop. And actually we're supposed to get some showers in a little bit, which is why I'm out here early, because I know it's gonna rain again. And yeah, it just doesn't seem to want to stop. So it's been a battle. Yeah. We're gonna do a few things here to combat the weeds without damaging the soil. And let me show you that. I'll swing around. Whoop. Buggy. So these, let's see. This is row 3 and 4. These are the neighbors' rows. So rows 5 through 9. Later today, we're going to put a tarp over it and just tarp it for the rest of the summer. And that'll take care of the weeds in this section. We won't have to worry about that anymore. I actually removed some soil from row 8 that was left over from last year's potato crop. There was a big mound of compost here. So I distributed some of it further down the row and then onto this row, which was a little bit low, and left it at that. So that's why that row is looking a little clean. But yeah, we'll tarp this and it'll take care of the weeds for the rest of the year, and then I won't have to worry about them. Ooh. Did I mention the mosquitoes? I'm being mobbed by mosquitoes right now because of all the standing water around the farm. We've been trying to remove puddles where we can, but yeah, it's been very buggy too. But I promised you that this was not going to be a gloom and doom video, so let me show you some positive things that have been happening here and actually up in the shade garden. Shade garden will kind of make up for this, I think, I hope. Anyway, let me show you what's going on in here. Despite all the rain, I did manage to get a bunch of things planted. So this row here, row 10, is my pollinator row. Every year I plant a row of various flowers to attract bees and birds and butterflies, and this year is no different. It's an entire row, so almost 90 feet, and in it I've got various sunflowers which are already getting ready to bloom. They've been in the greenhouse so long. And these are all sunflowers that will produce seed. There are a lot of varieties out on the market that are pollen-less, that are mainly for cutting, so you don't get pollen all over your tabletop. But they don't produce seed, so or produce very little seed. But I want the birds to get in here and pick these apart. So every year I plant a whole pile of sunflowers and put them in, and then watch the bees pollinate them, and then the birds rip them apart once the seeds ripen. I've also got some bachelor buttons and some zinnias. What else do I have in here? Oh yeah, Mexican sunflowers, or Tithonia. These will get huge and have the most brilliant orange or bright yellow blooms, and will be loaded with bumblebees. The bumblebees really like them. Some more cosmos. Oh, here's one that's blooming. This is a seashells version, or a variety of cosmos. Oh, pretty. So yeah, the whole row is just alternating sunflowers, Mexican sunflowers, cosmos, zinnias, and bachelor buttons. All of them are butterfly and bee magnets. So in a month or so, this will fill in and start producing a lot of beautiful flowers, and hopefully bring the pollinators in. This row right here with the black tarp, I just planted my sweet potato slips. They just came in the mail. So those are in. I've got 4 different varieties that I'm trying this year, and we'll see. Since it's been so cloudy and rainy, I'm a little bit worried. Sweet potatoes like it hot, and if we don't get a lot of sun, I'm not sure how well these will produce, but you know what? Might as well try, right? This next row, which is covered in weeds, but will actually get an individual row tarp, does have something in it. Let me go down here. I did plant my regular potatoes down here a little while ago. Oops, there's one there. And they're almost ready to hill up again. These are a couple of varieties, Yukon Gold, and then a second variety that I cannot remember right now without being fully caffeinated. But I'll put that down on the screen below. But as you can see, they've come up well. I actually put them in this latter back half here of the row because this part is actually a lot drier. It drains a lot better. And I was worried that the tubers, the little potatoes, would rot if I put them up front where it's much wetter. So yeah, they're looking good. In this next row, I've got my chard, which seems to be doing okay. I may plant a few more seeds as insurance, but it seems to be coming up okay. It's had plenty of rain for sure. And I've got a few beets back there for beet greens. More weeds. And then my sad little carrot patch from a month ago. I really do need to get in here and clean up another section and plant more carrots. But this is a variety called Yaya, which is an early variety. And I sowed it, I want to say last weekend in April, first couple days of May, right before we had a week-long just torrent of rain. And I think it washed a lot of the seed away. So it's clearly a much patchier carrot patch than I'm used to. So we will regroup and re-sow in another section back there. The onions are actually looking really, really good. They're loving this water. As you can see, they're all bright green and doing really well. So I'm happy about that. These are yellow and red storage onions, some shallots way down there, and a few spring onions, or not spring onions, fresh onions, fresh eating onions way in the back, but primarily storage onions. We do eat a lot of onions, and it's nice to have our own onions through the winter. All right, past the onions is my disastrous spinach patch, and I can only blame the rain, and I'm not sure what happened with the spinach, but just not happening this year. So may rip it out. I've got another tray of spinach starts in the under the grow lights, so I'm probably going to come out at some point and just pull this out. It's getting ready to bolt already. So this weather has just been crazy, doing all sorts of weird things to crops. But back here, I do have a big patch of lettuce, which is almost ready. Well, really, it's ready to start picking. And this actually looks really good, finally. I do have more lettuce to plant, and I do need to do a little bit of weeding in here and get some more lettuce starts in here, but we're going to be eating salads for the next few weeks here. So this is a positive. This makes me happy. Look at how pretty that is. The next row, the peas are looking lovely. They're loving the water. We put up these cattle panels, or hog panels, depending on what you like to call them, and allow these peas to grow along the panels. These, the first section of peas here, these are sugar snap peas. And look at how lush they are. And then when it drops down here to these shorter ones, these are snow peas. And they're all looking really good. Behind the fencing, I planted a few tomatoes. We're not big tomato eaters, but I grew a few different varieties this year. Gave a lot away. But as you can see, they've been in the greenhouse so long, they're actually already producing fruit. And those will grow up and attach to, I'll tie them off to this fencing. And then these snow peas in particular, they're not going to get very tall, and they will do their thing by July and, end up on the compost pile. And so the tomatoes will have this space to grow in. Same with back here. I plan to put cucumbers back here once they're ready. They're in the greenhouse right now. And so once the peas are done, the cucumbers will be growing up the fence in this row. Swing around here, and this next row, I recently just sowed beans, bush beans, and it's so late. Usually I sow those end of May, but here we are, 7th, 8th of June, and I'm just sowing beans now. So they haven't started germinating yet, but it's only like 3 or 4 days ago. So this section is beans, and then I planted all my peppers. They needed to come out of the greenhouse. So I've got a bunch of red bell peppers, sweet bell peppers, which is really the only pepper I enjoy eating. I'm not a chili pepper person. I like my red, orange, and yellow peppers. So I've got a whole pile of red bell peppers, a few Carmen sweet peppers, and then I was gifted some seed that I thought I'd try. There's some lemon chilies down here. So a little patch of chilies, which I will give away, but it's always fun to grow something different. Yeah, so hopefully we have enough hot weather to get these tomatoes and peppers going, and can actually get a crop this year. So the next 2 rows are my brassica crops, and they're under the netting, the flea beetle netting. There's a nice pak choi that will be dinner in the next day or two. But basically it's all kale and broccoli. There's some, I don't know if you could see through the netting. There's some kale here, some pretty kale. This kale row is about to outgrow the netting, so that will come off soon, and then I can start my annual battle with the cabbage moths. But for now, they live happily under the netting, cabbage moth free, and they're all looking really good. They're loving the rain. So I'm at the far end of the brassica rows, and this is the perennial storage area, I guess, storage row. I've got a bunch of perennials that I'll be putting in the other garden, and I just had to show you this. Aren't these beautiful? These are just so lovely. These are what I call Becker's peonies. I don't know the variety. They were dug out of what is now the Kitchen View garden last fall and stuffed in here. Oh wow, look at all the buds. For peonies that were just yanked out of their home not a few months ago, these are looking really, really nice. Anyway, so I think I've told this story before in previous videos, maybe last year. These peonies came from an old farmhouse where we lived in upstate New York that was about to be torn down for new houses. The brothers that had lived in the house died, and yeah, the house was sold to developers. The farm was sold to developers, and these were growing in front of the house. And we knew that they were just going to be bulldozed. So my husband and I did a secret mission early one Saturday morning, walked up the road with a shovel and a couple of buckets and dug out a bunch of these. And they were in our garden in New York. And then when we moved, I dug them up and brought them here. At least some of them anyway. Oh, and there's a wasp on this one. Yeah, so that's lovely. The other thing that I'm enjoying, but knowing that I need to get under control soon, is this comfrey patch. Look at this. This is ridiculous. So I got to come in here actually and hack some of this back because it's crowding the perennial row here. So, but I mean, come on. Look at how amazing that is. Oh yay. There's a bumblebee in there. Where are you, Bumble? There you are. Oh, it's good to see bumblebees in here. I have to say, I'm a little worried about the pollinators this year. I haven't seen a lot of them. Maybe it's just the rain. I hope it's the rain. Anyway, plenty of flowers for them now. Oh, and I just heard the hummingbird. Oh, yeah, hummingbird just whizzed around my head, but she's too quick for me to get on camera. So here's the lovage, I don't know how to pronounce this. I grew this kind of on a whim, and they said it would get tall. Yep, that's got to be like 7 feet tall. And then in this little clump here are some native columbine that again came out of the kitchen view garden, and it's just resting here until I can get the main pollinator border dug out and replanted. But look at how pretty these are. And my crazy rhubarb, which is like a little forest right now. The asparagus seems to be doing pretty well. A few asparagus beetles, but I've been able to pinch them off. And then finally some salvia and some yarrow, 2 different types, that are patiently waiting for me to get my act together in the perennial border and dig them out and move them there. Up here by the asparagus, looking a little closer, and I don't know if you can see that there are a few asparagus beetles in here, or asparagus larvae that turn into asparagus beetles that I need to take care of today. I'll spray BT on this later, and that will eliminate most of them. But I definitely want to get on top of this before they destroy the asparagus like they did last year. Still looking pretty good though. So there are definitely some good things going on in the garden. Not all is just gloom and doom from rain and mud. So we'll push on and continue to plant and hope that the weather improves and we get some sunshine, at least for a while. A week or two would be nice. And yeah, so we can get some of these crops growing and dry up some of the beds to be able to weed them. All right, so let's go up into the shade garden, because that is my happy place right now, and it looks really, really pretty, and I can't wait to show you. All right, we're walking up to the shade garden. Oh, and there's Susie. Say hi, Suze. Hi. She hates being on camera. All right, so shade garden on the side of the house. Look at how pretty this is. The hostas are loving this rain. Very happy with where this is right now. I did get in here and weed and compost this lower level. And so the soil's looking really, really black right now. And I left a bunch of these foxglove seedlings. I may further thin these out, but look at the foxgloves. They just popped in the last week. And there's some up there in the upper level. These are all volunteer foxgloves that came out of the side of the road coming into our farm after the highway department had done some work. These foxgloves, this big patch of foxgloves just popped up. So I dug them up and brought them in here. And this is the 3rd season with them in the garden. And they just randomly pop up, and I get these masses of seedlings that I thin out. Still have some thinning work to do there. But yeah, free foxgloves. So yeah, I'm just loving this at the moment. My variegated Solomon seal, it just finished flowering, but I just love that so much. The lady's mantle is looking really good this year as well. The Aralia, before it gets eaten by bugs, some sort of bug. The Roseanne geranium is getting ready to bloom. There's actually one little flower in here. Some more foxgloves. My Karingashoma came back. This one looks pretty good. There's another one back there that is doing okay. I'm thinking it's competing with the tree here. It's not doing as well as the other one, but we'll leave it here for this season, and you know, can always move it. Look at how pretty these are. Painted fern came back really nicely. Some Jacob's ladder. The only less than glorious hosta here is this is supposed to be Empress Wu, and something happened to it. It didn't quite come out as well as it should have this spring, and it isn't doing great. But we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, this is all looking so lush. Again, with all the rain, it's just one big jungle in here. I love this mossy rock. I did add 3 more of the Hakanakloa and move the Ajuga around a little bit to brighten up this little corner leading up to the propane tanks. And this Ajuga, I love that it's spilling over into the pathway, which, by the way, this section of the wood chip area has been washed out repeatedly. Just gonna swing around here. Repeatedly washed out because of all the torrential rain we've had. So I do have some slate stepping stones that I'm going to be putting here to try to slow down the flow coming off the patio. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt from above here washing down onto the patio, but we're not going to look at that right now. We're going to look at all this pretty greenery. These are the ferns and the Solomon seal that I transplanted. Again, loving all this water. So this is going to just fill into a nice big green jungle. There's Annabelle. I did not move her yet. Kind of made the decision that I'm not going to move her until the fall. Yeah, so she's going to go up there on the corner of the barn. But for now, she will sit here and look glorious. So this is really looking very lush right now. Let me show you, I've got a few additions, as if I had room for more, but there's always room for more. I have a few new hostas, some pulmonaria, another brunnera, and this is meadowsweet, which is new to me. I've not planted this before. This is a red umbrella meadowsweet that I just had to try. Look at these pretty little flowers. They almost look like thalictrum flowers, or maybe a cross between a thalictrum and a heuchera or a tiarella. But yeah, they have these flowering spikes that come up, and the leaves are just really pretty. So we'll add that to the garden. I think that may go up in the upper level. That needs some filling in, but yeah, hoping to get these in this week. Well, friends, I think we'll leave it here in the beauty of the shade garden. I'm gonna go in and finish my tea and get some breakfast, which Susie is asking me for right now. Yes, I know. We'll go inside, I promise. So yeah, thank you for joining me here today as I pet my dog. Isn't this what like gardens are for? To sit and have your tea and pet your dog? Yes. Good girl. Anyway, I do have a bunch of things to show you in future videos very soon. I'm going to be working today on one of the projects and moving that forward significantly, and I can't wait to show you. But for now, I'm going to go in and take care of my breakfast and the dog's breakfast and get to work. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.